Fighting out of the red corner, Dorota Eka. Wearing red, official weight 97.2 kilos. This Olympic medalist has a professional record consisting of 53 fights, 42 victories, including 27 knockouts, with 5 world titles. From Atlanta, Georgia, USA, the challenger, der Herausforderer, Funkmaliga Weltmeister, 5-time world champion, former undisputed cruiserweight, and 4-time heavyweight champion of the world, the legend, der Legenda, the warrior, Evander, real deal, Holyfield. In the blauen Ecke, the blue corner, wearing blue, official weight 141 kilos. Professional record 51 fights, 49 victories, including 34 knockouts. From St. Petersburg, Russia, the zweimaliger Weltmeister im Schwergewicht, the reigning, defending, 2-time WBA heavyweight champion of the world. From Russia with love, the Russian giant, Damir Gasparai, Nikołaj Wałujew.
Well, the crowd likes Wałujew, but they love Evander Holyfield, Al.
Fascinating and enthusiastic reaction. 18 years since Evander Holyfield first won the heavyweight title, and here he is again.
And Al, you picked it up. We should mention Tommy Brooks back in his corner. Had been away for a while. Brooks has trained Mike Tyson, many others. But back when Holyfield was with Duba Boxing, now he's got a familiar face back with him. He's changed trainers rapidly, though, throughout his career. Wałujew coming forward. Watch that jab and see if Evander could get around it. That's a key. Look how long it is. Actually, the reach is only 7-inch difference, but that's plenty, Al.
Every time you see Wałujew fight, and we mentioned, 4 decisions in his last 4 fights, not as if he walks in and knocks people out, but the sheer size in the ring of him is just daunting.
Yeah, how do you dissuade him? Evander's got to be busy. He's got to let his hands go and win enough rounds.
And you mentioned, and already we see evidence of it, Wałujew is not a fighter who presses the pace a lot, so in a way he gives Holyfield a chance to set and figure out how he's going to attack this mountain.
Good point, and absolutely not having to expend a lot of energy as the 46-year-old. I know Evander's been in superb shape a lot. It's hard to question that typically for him. He's a marvel at 46. Look at him. But he does fight in spurts.
There's the hook by Holyfield. There's a punch that will land against Wałujew. I think it's the Holyfield hook. But if he throws it with too much abandon, he leaves himself open to get hit with the counter right hand. So it's kind of a tricky deal for Holyfield in terms of really throwing that punch a lot.
What do you think Wałujew is waiting for, Al?
I don't know. The jab of Wałujew should be something he uses very much in this fight. Holyfield can be hit with that punch.
Wałujew tries to throw that right hand to the body and then shoves Holyfield back. But Wałujew very awkward. 2 minutes into this fight, hasn't landed much of anything.
We haven't seen many punches thrown, period, yet in this fight. I mean, almost nothing. Holyfield, I don't know if he's thrown more than 2 punches. And Wałujew, not too many more. Overhand right by Holyfield.
Yeah, that landed. Now he's inside, missing. Wałujew tries to counter with the right, but he was very slow with it. And even the 46-year-old could get out of the way. And Evander's been hard to miss lately, Al.
Yeah, defensive.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Nick. Defensive liabilities have come more to the forefront in the last couple of years for Evander Holyfield, that's for sure. And as you said, Wałujew very slow with that right hand. So just by nature of a couple of punches that Holyfield has landed, he might have won himself the first round by default.
Boy, does he need him. Wałujew just trying to dial in and figure out Evander. He gets hit with a counter left hand. And I agree with you, Al. That was Evander Holyfield's round.
Well, they say Willie Pep won a couple of rounds by throwing no punches. Evander Holyfield won that one by throwing about 6.
There you go.
Руки на месте, он готовит боковой удар. Танцует, танцует. Или левый сбоку, или правый. Ты левый доставай с ногой. Все время доставай. Но руки на месте. Ты что руки опустил? Не надо опустить. Ты руки опустил. Ты слышишь, что мы тебе кричим?
Что-то шумно.
Шума. Ну руки на месте держи. Не спи.
На месте слышу.
Не спи. Паш, руки на месте, левый работает. Не давай ему бегать. Он бегает, хочет взорваться где-то. Левый, левый, в живот. Хорошо? Воды.
You don't normally have that much give and take conversation in the
Yeah,
corner.
I'm amazed at the fighter, Nikołaj Wałujew, commenting back to his trainer.
Yeah, that was a virtual discussion there.
He's in the middle of the ring and towering over everybody. Look at this sellout house in Zurich, Switzerland. Evander Holyfield, 4-time heavyweight champion, trying to become the oldest man to win that title. George Foreman did it at age 45. The 46-year-old arguably took that first round on our cards anyway. Nick Charles with Al Bernstein. This main event from Zurich, Switzerland, Evander Holyfield, the challenger, 14-month layoff. We thought he was finished 14 months ago, but nobody can tell Evander that except himself.
That's well put. You know, the uppercut for Wałujew is probably going to be the most important punch of this fight, I believe, because
And he almost tried to throw it?
Yeah, Holyfield tends to bend in. We saw how effective that was in the clips we saw of his fight against Owen Beck and also Monty Barrett.
And I think for Holyfield, the key is getting around Walujew's jab, but as you said, Al, he's not throwing it.
Exactly. That could be a punch also, in addition to that uppercut that would be difficult for Holyfield, but not much happening from Wałujew in that regard.
Well, you would think that the champion wouldn't just be following around like this and not even really cutting the ring off and not throwing any shots. He's going to lose his title this way. I would expect him to pump up the volume offensively.
Yeah, and you have a 46-year-old man in front of you who has had some issues in recent fights. There's that uppercut that Wałujew tries. So you would think you'd want to pressure him and make him fight the full 3 minutes.
Crowd calling for more action. Wałujew in the blue, Holyfield all in red. There's the hook, and there's the infighting, and there's the clinching.
You know, I mentioned earlier that I thought the hook might be there for Holyfield. It's there in a surprisingly easy way early in this fight. Can he hurt Wałujew with it? I don't know, but if he keeps landing it, it's going to keep scoring points.
Yeah, he got inside. You know, he's not going to walk down the Russian, but he's got to get inside and do a little work because the reach is a mismatch. The height, and Wałujew, again, just pawing with the jab, should be drilling it and controlling distance, controlling this fight that way.
This is probably the first time many of the American fans that are watching this broadcast, the first time they've seen Wałujew. He has not been shown that much in the United States. And if you're watching him for the first time, this is not Wałujew at his best. When he's at his best, he's a technician throwing more punches you saw in those highlight reels.
Yeah.
This is the Wałujew that is the kind that gives a fighter like Evander Holyfield a chance to win this fight.
I agree with you. I mean, the way he went after Monty Barrett.
I mean, he just gave away 2 rounds, Wałujew did.
Absolutely. Sold out house in Zurich, Switzerland. Appreciative, but wanting
Beautiful
more. There's
work,
Tommy
man.
Brooks.
How you feel, boss? Fantastic, man. Hey, that's beautiful work. I got you up, man.
That was excellent. That was excellent. You
Hey,
stuck
look,
to the plan.
stay with just what you're doing, boss. It's working beautiful, man. Now remember now, he's bringing his left hand back low so you can time that right hand. But once you throw that right hand, throw something behind it. Beautiful
You're
work.
excellent, man. You're sticking with a plan.
Beautiful work.
Keep scoring points, homie.
Hold your head.
Hey, your head, stay ahead.
Yeah, the plan is, you know, it's the sparring, so I'm hitting the bag because nothing's coming back. So he hasn't been pressed, Holyfield, to change anything, Al.
Yeah, there is no offense coming from Wałujew. Clearly, Wałujew, from his perspective, needs to start throwing something.
I don't get it. I just don't get it. You know, Holyfield's not within range now. That's clear. He's just using the ring. And
of course, when you're 7 feet tall, a guy should almost always be in the range, shouldn't he?
Right.
With about an 82-foot reach.
Now Wałujew trying to close the gap a little bit. Holyfield, first punch he's thrown this round, it didn't land. Wałujew's almost like he's waiting to counter. Now he tries to let his hands go a little bit, but it's frustrating to watch this giant.
You know, the other interesting thing is, and here's Holyfield at age 46 giving consistent lateral movement to Wałujew, and that seems to be an issue for Nikołaj. And Holyfield, all he needs to do is just give him lateral movement and occasionally throw some punches right now.
Wałujew with the jab. Single shots from him, if at all. Nothing on his punches either. I know he's a big man. He could get a little leverage, and punching down on you could take it out of you a little bit, but he hasn't thrown one punch with conviction, Al, the champion. Very disappointing here in the third round of a scheduled 12-round championship fight.
And it's not as if Holyfield has been super active either, but what he has done is done things like that, picked his shots, thrown the right hand that Tommy Brooks asked for over the low left of Wałujew. There's been an occasional left hook mixed in as well by Holyfield.
Gosh, the crowd in Switzerland just loving every movement, any kind of offensive flicker from Evander Holyfield.
Well, honestly, who among them, you know, I'm sure there are Wałujew fans, and clearly he's a fighter with support in Europe, but Evander Holyfield at age 46 to them is quite a story.
That's the emotional attachment.
Sure.
I agree, Al. Oh, boy, this is a round neither guy has done. I think I would have it 9-9.
Well, I'd give it to Holyfield because he landed a couple of punches. Wałujew has landed nothing, so you almost have to give Holyfield a round from the couple of punches that he landed unless something changes here in the interim.
It's a 10-point must, as you all know, unified rules of boxing.
You could make it an even round, certainly. 9-9, I don't know. That was cool.
Well, it's impossible.
Although maybe accurate. That was a body punch by Holyfield. I have seldom seen a 3-round period, even in the heavyweight division, in which both heavyweights have thrown such few number of punches. And we've had a few fights this year, like the Ibragimov-Klitschko fight, and a few other heavyweight fights that have been very low in action. This one, though, is so far down the totem pole.
Tired and tedious so far. Crowd in Zurich, though, happy to be ringside. Or in the rafters watching this one.
А что ты на него лезешь? Выбрасывай руки, руки на месте держи. Выбрасывай, не бойся. Проходи на него с ударом, но руки на месте. Ты понял? Левый, левый. Не лезь далеко. С ногами выброси и руки на месте. Правую на месте держи. Он же левый сбоку тебе все время пасет. Это же видно. Ты левый, левый. Держи, не бойся ее. Вот здесь руку держи. Работай, Полис.
Same message. Here we see it, Al.
There's the right hand by Holyfield. He kind of cranks the left hook off the chest of Wałujew. That was the one moment, literally, of that round that had any action in it. So I don't know if that's enough for someone to give Evander Holyfield a round, but this gentleman, the first Russian to win any version of the World Heavyweight Championship.
Yes.
Not covering himself with glory so far.
You know, just from body language in the corner of Wałujew, they want him to, it's like, take these shots on the gloves and forearms, but why shouldn't he just be first? Now he's trying, flicks the jab. He's got Holyfield in the corner and easily lets Holyfield dictate, you know, the pace and range of this fight, Al. And Wałujew could be doing all of that with his jab. Controlling the pace, the range, and the fight if he kept Evander at the end of it.
We mentioned at the outset of this broadcast that how Wałujew throws the jab in the first couple rounds will give us an indication of how he's going to fight. If he was throwing it with conviction, it would show us that the fight's going to be that way. He's not done it that way.
Gee, he's sleepwalking.
Every jab is thrown tentatively without any conviction, and that's why nothing's coming from him in this fight.
And Holyfield isn't showing me he could fight.
No.
He's showing me he isn't.
He's not throwing many punches at all, if any. He just throws enough to land an occasional big punch. In this round, I don't think Evander's thrown a punch yet.
A little flurry inside. He'll go inside, single, maybe 2 shots. Wałujew can't find him with a rangefinder of a jab. There, Wałujew doubles a jab, but nothing on that right hand.
Wałujew is not an inside fighter. He'll hold whenever the fighter's inside. He doesn't want to fight. And really, that's the place where he should be using that uppercut.
Absolutely, Al. Referee Luis Cabon from Puerto Rico. The judges from Sweden, Italy, and Panama.
And Holyfield does not want to use a lot of jabs because he's worried about being countered by the right hand. He's thrown literally almost no jabs in this fight, Holyfield.
Right. And he hasn't had to fight fast. I was saying, punch and move, but with nothing coming at him, he's done just a little bit of work inside like that, and it's winning every round for him.
And the intriguing thing is, it's the 46-year-old who's throwing more combinations, even though there are not too many. There's the uppercut by Wałujew. That's the one punch that could spell disaster for Evander Holyfield.
Al, I can't answer the question, but I could speculate. I could just ask it, is how can Wałujew think he's winning this fight, winning any rounds, when he's so inactive? It's incomprehensible to me why he hasn't gotten going here in the 4th round.
And the actual volume of punches is so low. It's not as if he's just missing. It's that there have been so few of them, and it'd be hard-pressed to give him this round, Wałujew, because Holyfield had a couple of effective moments.
I don't think he's thrown 20 punches around and landed 5, and I've got Holyfield winning every round. You, Al?
I would agree. There was one closer round, but
there's the open blow. It's a free shot for Evander.
And the interesting thing is that hook didn't move Wałujew at all. Didn't even move him. It barely moved his head, and yet still it lands though.
And Evander does the right thing after that stuff. He's inside now. He'll pin his head to Walujew's chest and force him to clinch.
A couple of jabs thrown by Wałujew there, but and that's as close as he's come to landing a really good jab in that sequence right there. But for the most part, that punch has been non-existent, and Holyfield's been able to counter him from time to time. The try at the uppercut by Wałujew, and that was an important attempt on his part, but all it got him in return was a counter left hook.
And Al, I was talking about Wałujew being not just a hulking giant. He looks absolutely lumbering in this fight. I hadn't taken 1/2 step back to break the clinch maybe, and when Holyfield's in sight and inside, trying to shorten up and nail him. He's just following him around totally ineffectively, not making the fight at all.
The things that we've seen from time to time from Wałujew in other fights that make him a little bit more of a ring technician, of course, are absolutely absent here tonight.
Wow, the crowd is all Evander.
One of the problems, even early on, one of the problems with Walujew's lack of activity is, and this might be going way, way, way beyond where any analyst should go in round 4, but I'll do it anyway, round 5. What he's doing is devaluing the little bit that Holyfield's doing, because he's being so inactive that if Holyfield went on to win a decision just like this over the course of 12 rounds,
boy.
Wałujew would devalue it to the point where people wouldn't be able to give a 46-year-old credit for the win.
That's a wonderful observation, Al. I agree with you. It would be to the point, like, who wants to see this guy? He really didn't win.
And that's a big issue, because this, let's face it, this is an entrepreneurial sport, all about, do you want to see somebody fight? And now, of course, Holyfield can fix that himself by being more active. And
Looks like he's trying to come to the champion.
And he's got 7 rounds to do that, so he can fix that problem if he is real active and starts throwing great combinations.
Well, Al, it looks like, look, through 5, if Holyfield wins this round, Wałujew is also setting himself up to where he's going to have to knock Holyfield out.
Hook lands by Holyfield. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
I mean, if you're down in the hole 50 to 45, you're gonna need to sweep the rest of the fight or knock him out.
Now, one of the small dangers here is Holyfield's becoming, as we go on, a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more bold in the chances he's taking. His danger is walking into one of those uppercuts or one of those straight right hands at some point when he does that. But he's still pretty measured, Holyfield, in terms of his attack, but still doing more than Wałujew.
It's the only thing I could see in terms of a fight plan for the champion, that he's trying to sucker this guy into walking into an uppercut. It's the only thing rationale I could see for Wałuiew's lack of activity.
10 seconds.
Makes no sense. And with that flurry before, Holyfield may have won this round as well and been up 50 to 45, setting up the point of almost diminishing return for this man, the champion. Where if he doesn't win the next 7 rounds, would escape with a draw if he won 6 of them. If not, he'd have to knock out this man.
Excellent work,
who
boss.
hasn't been stopped.
Great work.
James
Just stay just like you work. Hey, look, if you want to go stationary, now's the time to do it. But look, you got to counter though. You just can't catch now. You got to throw something back, all right?
Hold him more. He's getting a little bit anxious, man.
But look, if you're going to go stationary now, if you got to throw something, and then you got to step. Don't stand there, okay?
Take some deep breaths, though, and exhale hard.
But you're working great just like you're working, boss.
Mouthpiece.
6th round coming up.
That was the 5th round. I got you winning
Brilliant
this
corner
thing,
work by Tommy Brooks. Brilliant corner work, because he's telling Holyfield now, as you heard, if you want to set down on those punches, do it. But please, you must step if you're going to do it. You can't just stay in his wheelhouse and accept a punch. They're acknowledging that he could do more. But I love the caution that Tommy Brooks threw his way.
Let's see if Evander does do that. I mean, I don't want him to work or he doesn't want to move as much. Who knows? He's been effective enough because of Wałuiew's lack of not only effectiveness, but any action. Now inside, as he wraps the champion with shots to the body. Man, Wałujew never win a bodybuilding contest, but he looks soft, and Holyfield is ripped as usual, but outweighed by nearly 100 pounds. You know, Wałujew once outweighed a guy by 159 pounds, Al.
Wow. You know, you get the impression that their intention, Tommy Brooks and the Holyfield camp, was to at some point be a little bit more stationary and then be more aggressive. They felt maybe taking this to a certain point in this fight, and they're already telling him, look, you can start doing that a little bit here in round 6, but Holyfield not feeling comfortable enough to do it, so he's continued the movement.
But Al, for Holyfield to be in the luxurious spot, not having to go to plan B, but saying, hey, if I want to go to plan B, then I'll go inside, work inside, and negate Wałuiew's size, and here he's doing it. Wałuiew's like he's sleepwalking.
Nikołaj, and you know what, I've been at this for many, many years, and I think my reputation is one of being a pretty fair-minded and not painting pictures black and white. Nikołaj Wałuiew's performance in this fight is one of the worst I've ever seen.
It's head-scratching.
He's one of the worst I've ever seen in any division by any fighter.
Yeah, how can this man be a champion?
It's atrocious. And, you know, give Evander Holyfield credit. He's fighting a smart fight. He's doing just enough what he needs to do to win these rounds. But this is a dreadful performance by Wałujew, and he'll have to, he might score a one-punch knockout, he might turn it around in these last second half of this fight, but right now, it's dreadful.
It's like Wałujew doesn't want to fight. He doesn't know how to fight.
And we saw in those clips against boxers. Now there, he puts together a nice combination, Wałujew. He missed, but that's just what he should be doing.
Let his hands go.
It's not as if he has never fought well.
Holyfield now catches a jab.
Now Wałujew's starting to get a little bit of rhythm to what he does, at least.
I don't know, you can try to figure out a guy's moves, but I don't think Holyfield has given you such ridiculously tough looks.
Yeah, there's lateral movement, but it's not absurdly quick lateral movement.
Now see, it's like, hey, referee, save me. Not like I want to tear this guy's head off.
Luis Pavon of Puerto Rico jumping in.
Crowd sort of echoing the inaction that I'm sure you're feeling and seeing as we are.
Давай, гоняй его. Только руки на месте. Раз на бой. И раз, два, три бей. Проходит все.
Come on, this guy doesn't need a demonstration. He needs a bullwhip, Al.
Быстро соберись, ноги в поворот. Та-та-та. Оп, та-та. И все. И руки на месте. Если он идет на тебя, сразу.
Well, you can hear the urgency in his corner as they try to get him to do a little bit more of this, at least throw punches. Nice short right hand, takes a left hook in response, and a couple of left hooks in response. And there's the jab of Wałujew, which we have seen so little of. And
how can you really give Wałujew a round, Al, or
no,
can you?
You might make the last round
maybe
even.
5-1.
You
yeah,
might make it, yeah, you might make it 5-1 or the last round even, but that's about as far as you can go.
Al, Holyfield, as you really nailed it, Al. Even in winning this fight, he's looked so mediocre. He's looked almost just moving in the way he did, trying to get around the jab and just caving in and falling on Walujew's chest, knowing that nothing's coming back. I mean, it's not like he's done anything great.
No, he's doing what he needs to do, and he's landed. He's shown us, ironically, he's shown us exactly what he has in other fights, even like the Ibragimov in recent times. Flashes of good work, combination.
Al, I think you're telling like it is. You're being kind. I just don't see anything in there that would pose a challenge to a real heavyweight who came to fight.
And I say flashes because it's only been flashes, and it's only been because Wałujew is not doing anything. But nevertheless, he's doing he's doing enough to win these rounds. That's for sure, but not by much.
Wałujew. We talked about needing to keep Holyfield at the end of his jab. He hasn't at all. Then he's got to start beating up this guy inside. And Holyfield able to move leisurely. He's 46 years old. His legs aren't at all what they used to be. He's never been a guy who's totally just bounced around the ring. There's a flurry from him.
Wałujew landed a right hand briefly. It didn't do much good.
Wałujew trying to double the jab. He's short with it, with an 85-inch reach to 78 for Evander.
Even for Wałujew, who has had some performances in the past where he has been less active than some people would like him to be, even for him, this one is an absurdly inactive performance in which he has just done almost nothing offensively. Now in this round, Holyfield has not thrown that many punches either. There he lands a right and another right on the inside. Wałujew had landed a couple of good right hands earlier in the round.
Holyfield at 46, now he's getting pressed a little bit. Nice right hand from Wałujew. But it's like Holyfield wins his title, he could fight 2 months later because, this is like a leisurely sparring session. It's like how to play a little keep-away defense and an occasional flurry and, work on your legs for today. That's what we're going to do. We're going to put a big guy in there who's not doing anything. Just walking around.
Yeah, there are very few punches coming from Wałujew, so you don't have to worry too much. Even there, Wałujew just kind of walks away as if, okay, I don't have to punch right now.
And he isn't as we close out the 7th. He's like shaking his head at Holyfield like, what? You didn't come to fight? Well, make him fight. Here we see the champion now. That hook landed, but a right in return from Holyfield.
And then another right. Holyfield, when he gets on the inside, understands, and there's the use of the head, which many have accused Evander Holyfield of in the past.
Liberally.
And he knows how to do it when he's on the inside. And there, you see the head kind of tucked underneath the chin.
Yeah, Al, I agree. They let him get away. Sometimes they let him get away with it because of his status, the legendary status, I thought. A lot of head movement. Let's listen in.
Eight coming up.
Seconds out, seconds out.
Round 8.
Seconds out, seconds out.
Al, we all expected more. We know our viewers watching. Did we know we did? Well, if not something dynamic from Wałujew to send Holyfield into retirement. Not playing favorites, but the man is arguably an 8-10-1 favorite.
Well, here's the thing. If you take this completely in a vacuum and you say, okay, let's dissect it round by round, Evander Holyfield doing just enough to win, landing some punches here and there. But if you take it in its total, yes, it has not created a super interesting prize fight. And more than that, Wałujew, a man who has kind of, was handed this title after he lost it in the ring, is not acting like he wants to keep it. And there he finally throws some right hands.
Finally, off of that jab, which is really, that's his deal. Okay, there it is. That's what he should have been doing 5 rounds ago.
And maybe his plan was to let the 46-year-old Holyfield run around a little and then go after him, though I find that hard to believe.
Me too. Giving away all those rounds, now he's got to knock him out. He's got that jab right hand over the top, and inside he's got the right uppercut, as you mentioned.
Yeah, exactly. He's got 2 sequences that, if you just keep trying them over and over again, might work against this fighter, and yet he has not tried either of them very often.
Holyfield tries the jab, right hand over the top from the champion. Now Wałujew walking in, but not punching. And Holyfield circles right.
Well, it's all in degrees, but in some respects, things have at least heated up a little bit in this round.
Absolutely. I was going to say, it's probably
small degrees,
yeah,
but nevertheless, it's progress.
Halfway through the 8th is a 12-round title fight, and the man with the title, Nikołaj Wałujew, is playing catch-up. There they exchange shots there. Holyfield came back with a nice left hand.
For one of the very few jabs that Evander has tried in this fight, that one did get through.
Wałujew walking to the challenger, but not throwing much of anything. He's had his moments in this fight, that jab, in this round, I should say.
You know, if you want to look at this from one perspective, the fact that 46-year-old Holyfield has had constant movement during the course of the 8 rounds is something. But it's not exactly
he's not
Muhammad Ali, Larry Holmes movement. It's just enough lateral movement to give Wałujew some issues.
Yeah, and it's not like he's had to run from this guy under pressure. He's not been pressured all night.
Yeah, it's been movement that he dictated.
Exactly.
A little better round for Wałujew.
Yeah,
this might be one that he's winning.
I agree. You know, from a judge's perspective, it would just seem you're human. You're looking at a champion. You're saying, how can a champion conceivably, against a guy not posing a lot of threats, how can I not give him 1 round? Do you know what I mean? I mean, you're putting 1 round in the bank and you're on to scoring the next, and that's what you're supposed to do. But you're saying, how can this champion not win a single round on my card?
Well, and in fact, he is winning this one, so he's landed more punches and done a little more.
I gave it to him as well.
Yeah.
And I give it to this crowd ringside in Switzerland for applauding the
They're
action.
actually quite benevolent.
Yeah.
Комбинации хорошие у тебя сейчас, молодец. Раз, два, 3. Оп, раз, два. А ты стоишь как барышня. Че ты стоишь? Руки распускаешь, че ты? От защиты и бей. Все нормально.
Yeah, I don't speak Russian now, but this guy's not telling him enough. Seems the same thing, like
Коля, поагрессивнее, он сдает.
catch shots and counter.
Here's the Wałujew. Now they exchanged jabs, and actually that was one where Holyfield got in a little bit better. There's the jab of Wałujew getting in. Punch that he has not landed very often.
You know, Al, we're not taking those shots, but it looks like Walujew's shots, every one that's landed flush, has had no effect on Evander. Nothing. I mean, this is a man 310 pounds hitting you.
We're 2/3 of the way through this fight, and it is interesting. Evander Holyfield has been allowed to basically fight at his own pace.
Wow.
Which is, we said at the beginning, this was the way in which Holyfield could ultimately win this fight.
I thought the only way.
Yeah, and it's been the way it's transpired for him.
Not good for boxing. Slippage there.
Left hook that just kind of pushed him off balance, but more a slip.
Wałujew gets hit with a counter.
Good hook by Wałujew.
Yeah, but back comes Evander nicely.
That was a great combination by Holyfield.
That was the best action of the fight, in my opinion.
Yep.
Let him get mean, and then we'll have a fight.
I was going to say, at this point, to warn Wałujew for any act of aggression seems, I don't know, inappropriate.
Wow. Wałujew trying to get into his offense, is jumping, trying to get on the balls of his feet a little bit. Holyfield moving away, moving both ways. Wałujew engages him with the jab, nothing behind it.
This fight,
yeah, go ahead, Al.
I'm sorry, Nick. This fight has been the ultimate in measured aggression.
Oh, you said it.
I mean, it really has.
Holyfield making the play now, landing nothing, but he's throwing the jab because the champion's throwing nothing.
And you know, you have to say this for Evander Holyfield. The fact that he's moved to right, he's moved left, he's done it in a way that has given Wałujew some issues. That strategically is a big part of what has worked for him. But aiding and abetting him is Wałujew, who has not thrown many punches at all.
He threw his head, it seemed, last time. Evander, a few moments ago, Al, complaining about a headbutt, it would seem, to the right orbital bone area. Holyfield not even catching and countering because Wałujew short. Now here comes the counter assault from the champion.
And of course,
combination.
you know, we have to remind ourselves, Evander Holyfield has in general in life been more productive as a counterpuncher himself.
Isn't that true?
So
that's
when
his style.
we see when Wałujew does throw some punches, Holyfield's able to counter them effectively for the most part.
You know, I thought Evander's always been a vulnerable fighter. I thought the age in the ring would make him much more vulnerable in this fight. But Wałujew hasn't exploited a thing in his favor. Not a thing. Not pressing him, not even fighting in flurry. He's not fighting at all.
Holyfield landing some left hooks on the inside, able to land a little bit to the body.
Holyfield was 214, Wałujew 310 for this fight. Al, I'll give you a moment to digest your card and pick up your scoring. Here's the action from that ninth round.
You see Holyfield on the inside clubbing him with the right. When Holyfield's on the inside, Wałujew doesn't want to fight on the inside, so he simply holds, and it's Holyfield doing the majority of the work. A little short chopping right hand, but not very effective by Wałujew. Always the Holyfield head kind of lurking in a dangerous position. And there's the jab of Holyfield, which we have seen sparingly in this fight, but when it has been used, it's very effective. And that sequence, emblematic, I think, of this fight. Neither man super effective, but a little bit better for Holyfield. That really was this fight in microcosm right there.
Al, I'm sorry, I'm doing this fight, and we're all getting paid for it, and we're watching it, and I was anticipating so much more, but wow, Evander, the point, he lacks sharpness to the point of looking amateurish at times. I know this is a big guy, but he walks in, he's not even seeing anything. He's walking in with his head down or turned, and how Wałujew is not doing this. Wałujew looks like he's a Russian amateur and not a professional heavyweight champion. Well, I use your word. This is a dreadful fight.
Yeah, and I agree that with what you just said. I will say this for Holyfield: his technique's better than Walujev's at this juncture.
It is.
And when he throws those good combinations, they're thrown well. It's just a few and far between. See, and he'll rip a little body shot. He'll work a little on the inside. So, from that standpoint, Holyfield has been effective, but if Wałujew has allowed him to do that.
Al, back to your card. How do you have it through 9?
I have every round for Holyfield at 1 even and 1 for Wałujew.
Couldn't argue with that. I know that.
And you could make the case of 2 rounds for Wałujew out of the first.
But nobody
9.
could make the case for the champion winning this fight.
I don't think so. Not at this juncture.
So he would apparently need a knockout. Nice right hand from Evander.
And again, a counterpunch over the jab of Wałujew. And he shows no signs of hurting Wałujew, even with the big punches he's landing, but they are getting there, and they're the only punches that are getting there in this fight.
And they take drug tests, you know, obviously after these fights, they better, because it looks like Walujev's taken too many sleeping pills for this one. He looks terrible. And I know I'm chiseling home a point that everybody sees. It's clear cut, there's no denying. It's not that he's done anything to win this fight, he's done everything to lose it, and Evander's done just enough to win rounds. Just enough.
This will not be one that Wałujew will press in his memory book, that's for sure. And at 35, there's pressure on him as well, not just Holyfield at 46, because with some recent losses.
Al, it's a guy you never want to see again when you see him fight this way. You know, it becomes like the circus act, the 7-foot, 300-pound lumbering giant who doesn't belong in the ring with world-class fighters.
Well, and you know, he hasn't exactly, and the sad part for Wałujew is he hasn't exactly been that before. He's had his moments.
No, I was expecting and hoping for so much more, because I know this guy has some technical skills.
Yeah, he does, and we saw evidence of that in some of the highlights, and it's not to suggest he's been a world beater in every fight, but he's had some entertaining matches.
Absolutely.
And this has just been not a good effort.
You know, beating a guy who looks impossible to beat, John Ruiz, he won a unanimous decision over him. 3 knockdowns against Monty Barrett, who just fought Klitschko. Or I should say David Hay. Got to give the round to somebody. I'm glad I don't have to score this for a living.
2 rounds, boss. 2 rounds, baby. You got that in you. I know you do. Tim, just keep moving. Don't stand stationary, man. Don't let it get it. Hey, yo, right here.
And against oh boy, that's his, you know, he's hitched his wagon to this guy, invested a lot in him. Holyfield coming in blind with those shots. What you have to do against a 7-footer, roll under him, it's hard. You don't want to have your chin hanging in the air, but you know, I haven't seen one effective inside shot, certainly on a counter, from Wałujew all night.
No, not at all. And if we're from Sauerland, we saw the frustration. He's looking at this, and needless to say, his man, Wałujew, has been a huge disappointment to him as well. Now, Tommy Brooks clearly indicating to Holyfield, this is no time to get brave. This is no time to stand there and decide you're going to be a warrior. Fight a smart tactical fight. And what I'm about to say, believe me, could be distorted and painted into a monstrous statement. However, this is in some ways reminiscent of the way he fought Riddick Bowe in his second fight. Certainly not on that skill level, certainly not at the right pace, but it's an Evander Holyfield who has thought through what he might be able to do in terms of technique and strategy. However, I emphasize, not even close to being on that skill level, but the Evander Holyfield, the warrior, which we've even seen in recent fights, he's putting in check to get a win.
Man, Al, you know, I respect a lot of that, and what you say, I think you're on target. I just don't see anything in Holyfield that suggests to me that he's going to be a true world champion.
It is not.
And he's going to win the world championship tonight unless Wałujew gets lucky.
You are correct. It's not a brilliant performance. It's an adequate performance, and it's been an adequate performance has been enough tonight. But you're absolutely correct.
And we'll wrap that up when we wait for the judge's verdict and talk more about perspective, and once we get it. But Wałujew has been comatose in this fight. Crowd at the sellout crowd here in Switzerland cheering Holyfield most of the night, and he has been the busier fighter, and he's controlled the pace, as you had mentioned, alluding to the second Bowe fight, and been able to do the things he wants to do best, and it's been enough to win this fight.
And even now, you look at, and you know, listen, I guess it's possible we're wrong. I guess it's possible Wałujew is winning some rounds. I don't know how. Can't be too many. But if we're right, it's astonishing that Wałujew is not being even a little bit aggressive to try and win some rounds here. We're in round 11.
Absolutely.
Or to knock him out.
It's incomprehensible to me. Holyfield hasn't landed a solid blow this round, but thanks to Wałujew, he hasn't had to.
And really, a couple of body shots by Holyfield, maybe one or two kind of overhand rights might be enough to win him this round. I don't know.
He's just got to finish on his feet to win this, to win a 5th heavyweight world championship in our view. 1 round to go from Zurich, Switzerland. The WBA.
Hopefully that's the same in any language. They know that word, knockout, because
he doesn't even seem bothered. He's bewitched and bewildered, we know that, but is he bothered by just giving his title away? That's the way I look at it. It's the only way I can see it. He's giving the title on a platter to Evander Holyfield.
I agree. He has pretty much gift-wrapped it, and Evander Holyfield has been smart enough thus far and active enough thus far to accept that gift. We'll see if Wałujew can snatch it back here in the final round.
Al, I don't get it. You know, do you think he's been, as we said before, phased at all by a single shot from Holyfield that's hurt him? No. I'm speaking for him. Why he won't come forward is just, it's got me in disbelief. If he hasn't been stunned, he hasn't had his bell rung, he hasn't been hurt, he doesn't feel threatened by Evander, just go for it, man.
Holyfield last held a version of the heavyweight title back in the year 2000 with a win over John Ruiz after he had lost to Lewis, and there's Holyfield landing some big right hands. Doesn't hurt Wałujew, but it scores.
And Wałujew, once Holyfield backs off, not jumping on him. Just letting Evander go at his pace. Punch count is so low in this fight, even for heavyweights. And punches landed are atrocious.
Yes, from Walujew's standpoint especially. Holyfield, ironically, may have landed a fairly high percentage of what he threw, interestingly. Didn't throw that many, but he may have landed a fairly high percentage of what he threw. Wałujew has landed an absurdly small amount, percentage of what he has thrown. And you're right, we could be a minute and 14 seconds or so away from Evander Holyfield winning his 5th world title and being the oldest man to win a version of the heavyweight title. And it will not feel as electric as it should because of the nature of this fight. And I think that's a fair statement to make.
Yeah. Holyfield has rarely come forward, but Wałujew doesn't win a single round on aggression. He is just following around the ring. Not letting his hands go, playing right into the hands of the 46-year-old Evander Holyfield. As we approach the half-minute mark, it's clear the champion needs that KO.
Now, Evander Holyfield needs to get off those ropes, because Wałujew looked like he was trying to load up on a right hand, and he's trying right now.
You know, Evander looks like he's off balance and staggering around.
He might be a little tired right now, and that makes him vulnerable, but Wałujew doing not much. Maybe Wałujew won this round.
Run out of clock, and he's run out of title contention in my book. A champion who let it go to an ex-champion.
A fascinatingly dispassionate performance.
What is that
by
all
Wałujew,
about?
and you hear the reaction to what he just did. So that tells you that we're not the only people that saw it this way.
Wow. He didn't even suffer now.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we go to the scorecards, tonight here in Zurich, we have seen 2 sensational heavyweights in this ring. A round of applause for champion and challenger. We go to the scorecards. Guillermo Perez scores the bout 114 even.
Wow.
Pierluigi Poppi 116-112. Mikael Hook 115-114 to the winner by a majority decision, and still WBA
this is,
heavyweight champion of the world from Russia with love, Nikołaj Wałujew.
Al, I'm shocked, dazed, and amazed. That's the worst officiating I have ever seen, in my opinion. And we've seen a lot of fights over the years, Al. I know I could be caught up in the moment, but how this man retained his title is beyond belief.
Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause.
That's pretty
staggering.
staggering.
Hall of Fame legend of boxing.
This is the worst thing to happen to boxing.
Well, the interesting thing about this is, as Evander Holyfield takes some adulation and has a puzzled look on his face.
Oh, gee.
One of the things that I think is distressing about this is that it was not a brilliant entity as a prize fight, and then you further diminish it by creating a decision that is, in my mind, something separate from reality.
And Al, the worst thing, again, from this big picture of boxing is Evander Holyfield's not going to quit now. He's going to say, I really beat this guy. I should be champion. I'm going to fight on. And again, I say he didn't do anything to threaten any bona fide world champion tonight that would suggest that he has the skills to really press and win a title, again, unless it's in a rematch against a sleepwalking Russian giant.
And
like
I don't
this.
think, I don't think anybody in that crowd,
What a close shave. You said it all, Wilfred.
Yeah, woo is absolutely the case. The fact of the matter is that I don't think anybody there really, who could be objective, thought Wałujew actually won this fight. And one of the most distressing situations you find yourself in broadcasting fights and doing fights of this nature is when you've been forced to sit here, and even if you qualify what you're doing, you're trying to find a way to not feel like, we certainly didn't feel like we presented a one-sided picture of this fight to people. And as they talked to Wałujew, obviously, in his native language.
Was war für Sie dann im Laufe des Kampfes das Problem, an den Mann ranzukommen, der ja sehr beweglich um Sie rumgelaufen ist?
Именно как раз эти бесконечные прыжки.
Sie haben hier auch ein bisschen gegen die Zuschauer kämpfen müssen. Ist das auch für Sie ein Problem gewesen oder hatten Sie sich darauf eingestellt, dass eine Legende wie Holyfield hier natürlich viel Unterstützung hat?
Well, as they continue on with the interview, nobody found it in their heart to give
Holyfield a fight.
And what's fascinating, I guess, is the 116-112 score. So that's an 8-4. That's an 8-4 win for Wałujew. That means he won 8 rounds of that fight. And the interesting thing is, I'm not sure in a 4 or 5 round period he landed 8 punches.
That was one of the worst title fights I've ever seen, Al, and one of the most disgraceful decisions I've ever witnessed.
And it'll be interesting to see the ramifications from this, both in terms of the quality of the fight and also, and here we go, there's Evander Holyfield.
Ambition. How disappointed are you?
Well, I can't be disappointed with what I did in the ring. I felt that I did the things that were necessary to win, and